Hi. Welcome back. The next revising strategy is the letter M in the ARMS mnemonic. Moving arguments or sections of your essay to improve logical flow. Sometimes your essay will include useful information, but in the wrong place. Before you cut something, you should first ask yourself whether you can move it somewhere else. The organization of your essay is almost as important as the ideas you are talking about. Your arguments and paragraphs must be in a logical order. In addition, the evidence and details within each paragraph must be related to the topic sentence. A disorganized essay will be harder to read, less convincing, and will almost certainly be given a lower score. So, how can you make sure that your arguments are in an order that makes sense? Well, your first body paragraph could present whichever argument will be most familiar to your reader. This helps you to connect with your reader and build common ground. Another thing to do is to organize your arguments based on how strong they are. You can either start with the least convincing argument and build up to the most convincing one, or you can go from strongest to weakest, but try to avoid hiding your best argument in the middle of the essay. Here are a few more tips. Don't jump around from one idea to another randomly. If two of your arguments share similar ideas, write them in sequence. Think about the key words and concepts you're talking about. Another thing to think about is how you organize ideas within a paragraph. You might have several pieces of good evidence, but you must make sure you present them in the right paragraph. Also, it's a good idea to present your strongest evidence first. Start with facts and statistics. Next, explain any non-personal examples you might have. Then, you can add a personal example. However, try to avoid what-if stories or hypothetical situations. Let's check out one example. The prompt for this example asks about recycling versus reducing. Which one is better? Well, my thesis statement is that reducing is better because it saves money and creates less trash. Now, here are my 3 arguments written in complete sentences. First, I think that buying less will save shoppers money. Second, if we buy less, then we don't need to recycle as much. And last, less recycling will save the government money. Are these arguments in the most logical sequence? Pause the lesson and think about the order of arguments. How can we improve it? Press play to resume when you are ready. Okay. The second argument is the most straightforward. It's pretty obvious that if we buy less, then we will create less trash. Since this is the most straightforward claim, let's make it the first argument. Great. Now let's think about the other 2 arguments. Argument 1 talks about recycling less. And so does argument 3. But argument 2 does not. However, arguments 2 and 3 both talk about money. We should rearrange the order so that similar arguments are closer together. So, let's move argument number 3 to the second paragraph. And there we go. The order of arguments makes more sense now. Okay. Let's look at an example about moving and organizing ideas. Sometimes you need to move a sentence from one paragraph to another. Here are 2 paragraphs from my essay. Pause the lesson and study these 2 paragraphs. Is there a sentence that might be out of place? Press play when you are ready to continue. Okay. Paragraph 2 was about the government. Paragraph 3 was about shoppers. If you notice, the last sentence talked about government tax money. It might make more sense to move the statement to the other paragraph. Good. Here's the revised paragraphs. The sentence about government taxes is now in the paragraph about government spending. Much better. Let's do a quick recap. When revising, you are allowed to move arguments in whole paragraphs so that they're presented in the best order. Start with familiar arguments. Organize arguments based on their strength. And think about the flow of your ideas. Check to make sure that related points are contained in the same paragraph and aren't spread out across several paragraphs. And make sure each sentence directly relates to your topic sentence. Finally, remember, if you make an outline or plan before you start writing, you can have a well-organized essay from the beginning. You won't need to revise quite as much. And that's it for this lesson. Close the window when you're ready, and you'll be taken to the checkpoint automatically.